Well, as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end, so vacation is over, which means it's time to get back home and back to reality, which is always a major bummer. But I am packed up and I'm ready to roll. Now, the wife, the kids, they're all flying tomorrow morning, early in the morning, so they're going to beat me home. But it is 4:40 p.m. right now, and I'm going to hit the road and try to get as far north as I can, so that way on Saturday, I can get home around dinner time, maybe late dinner time. We'll see how it goes. Of course, I waited for almost 5 o'clock on a Friday to head back home. So really happy about that decision. But let's go ahead and go home here. Let's see. I know we've got a long trip ahead of us. So let this all load up and it'll tell us time to arrive at all these locations. All right, so there we have it. 17 hours and 20 minutes, 1,016 miles to go. And it is set up on the preferred route, at least my preferred route, where it goes through Nashville. I'm sure that'll change to go straight north later, but let's see here. So far, we've done 1,562 miles, 330 watt-hour per mile, consumed 516 kilowatt hours of energy. So I'm going to make my first stop in Gainesville, and I should arrive about 28%. I was able to charge during nap time. I'm at 80% right now, so should be able to make it to Gainesville, which is 120 miles, about 2 hours to get there, because I'm sure traffic is just an absolute joy right now. So if I look at the whole trip again, my goal is to get past Atlanta. I'm not trying to push it too hard, but I really want to get past Atlanta tonight. I really wanted to get into Tennessee, but I needed to get a video loaded and edited, so I lost a little bit of time there. So just get north of Atlanta tonight, stay at a hotel overnight, and then finish the trip in the morning is the plan. Now, of course, I've got all the bags packed up in the car, so they don't have to take that to the airport. I've got a drink, I've got snacks, and of course, our new cooler / refrigerator. Pretty awesome. Let's take a look at that real quick. So now I plugged this in about 10 minutes ago. It was down to 37 and it's gone back up to 44. I heard the compressor just kick back on, but I've got it set up on the floor here where I can still open this lid and get some drinks while I'm driving. Just have to push the seat forward a little bit and it fits right there really nicely. Have plenty of room for air circulation, which is a requirement for that compressor. So with that, there's nothing else we need. So let's just hit the road and get as far as we can tonight. Based on current traffic conditions and this drive, it says we would get to Marietta, Georgia at 12:40 in the morning, which would be right here. So that is not very good. So I'm hoping that as we continue to make it and traffic dies down as we get farther north, I'm hoping that by midnight I can get past Atlanta. What's up, everybody? Bearded Tesla Guy here, once again teaming up with Charity Stars to get you a chance to win a Tesla Model Y Performance plus $10,000 in cash. All you have to do is visit charitystars.com/BTG, and with your donation, code BTG will get you an extra 100 entries to win a Performance Model Y and that $10,000 cash. Right now, Charity Stars is raising funds for the Jamie Kimball Foundation for Courage. The mission at the Jamie Kimball Foundation is to create a future without intimate partner violence. So your money is going to a great cause, and you have that opportunity to win a Performance Model Y. What more could you want? Now, before you do enter into this, make sure you check with your physician. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Although it is good for your overall health, everybody's heart is a little bit different. So make sure you take precaution, because you can win a Performance Model Y just like this one. So again, go to charitystars.com/BTG and make sure to enter code BTG if it's not already there. That'll get you 100 extra entries. The entry level is only $10. So for $10, you get 100 extra entries and your chance for a Performance Model Y plus $10,000 in cash. So I hope that you'll join me in this very good cause to raise money for the Jamie Kimball Foundation for Courage. car's range beat my bladder. I had to pull over. So switching up charging a little bit because I'm actually stopping at a charger before the one I was supposed to go to, but it's going to let me jump a charger on the way out. So let's take a look. So I actually just finished charging up. I can make it now to Lake City, Florida. So that'll get me all the way to the Georgia state line. Still looking at almost 1 o'clock in the morning to get to Marietta. So we'll see if that time gets better. I'm gonna try my best to be as efficient as possible. That last leg would have been about 51 miles, even though it says 62. 320 watt-hour per mile, 20 kilowatt-hours consumed. Gonna unplug, 19% on arrival, 109 miles, about an hour and a half. All right, so we've arrived at Lake City Supercharger. I did stop at a drive-through, so that took way too long. So I lost a little bit of time here, but let's take a look. Arrived at 18%. Let's see here, 110.4 miles, 39 kilowatt hours, 353 watt-hour per mile. It was pretty windy, so that is definitely adding to our consumption. We're supposed to be here for 30 minutes, and then we'll head to Cordell, Georgia. So I'm going to go ahead and get plugged in. This is a full charger right now. So at 150, it's a V2, which means we're going to have slow speeds the whole time. So expect that 30-minute charge to be more than 30 minutes indeed. All right, so as I've been sitting here charging, I've been doing some recon. So I did overcharge a little bit, but I found a hotel. It's not quite through Atlanta, which was my goal, but I've just lost so much time with some of that traffic down by Orlando. And then as I started to get north, I hit more traffic. So if I can make it to just south of Atlanta, I can be there about 12:30 in the morning, which I think I can do. I'm already getting a little bit tired. So I have 4 hours to go, including charging. But let's take a look and see if I'm able to make this work. Here's what we're looking at. All right, so I would have another 258 miles to go, 4 hours and 3 minutes, and that would get me here just south of Atlanta. So I'd still have quite a bit of a trek to go in the morning, but I can unplug now, get to Tifton at 23%, which is way more than enough. It is a V2, unfortunately, but that's okay. I can make this trip work, I think. So I'm gonna unplug now and try to make it to this Hilton that has 6 chargers. So there's 4 Tesla chargers and 2 J1772s. So there should be a really good chance that it would have enough chargers that I would be able to get one. If not, there is a supercharger not too far off of that route. So the worst case scenario, there is a V3 right down the road. But if you can remove a charging stop by staying at a hotel that has a charger, as long as you get that charger, you can actually save time on your trip. So this is what I'm gonna shoot for. We're gonna give it a shot. And I've got a drink. I just had dinner, so hopefully I don't get sleepy from all the food I ate. But I'm gonna unplug now and get going. Should be there at Tifton, Georgia, about 10 o'clock. So there's been a change of plans, and I'm gonna show you in a minute, but first I need to plug the car in. So really quickly, let's take a look at how we arrived. So we ended up going to a different charger, 146.7 miles, 51 kilowatt hours consumed, and a very high 349 watt hour per mile. It's very windy out there. It is 10:31 and we arrived at 5%. So I'm gonna go ahead and get plugged in. This is a V3. I'll be right back. right, so with this being a V3, we should be getting some pretty awesome speeds. We're at 5%, so this won't peak at 250 until our state of charge goes up quite a bit, something like 10 to 15%, somewhere in there. So anyways, let's take a look. I want to show you what we did. So we were supposed to stop all the way down here in Tifton, but I ended up having enough charge to bypass Tifton and hit up this charger here in Cordell, Georgia. So it is a V3, and I'm still thinking I have it in me to make it. I'm very, very tired though, so I'm cutting it close. I haven't looked to see how many miles I have left, but let's see. All right, so it says to charge for 25 minutes and it's 113 miles, so a little bit over an hour and a half. I would be there at 12:11, and this is a point that you should take as you're thinking about your road trip. So as you're going, whatever charger you're going to, you should check around. If there's a V3 and you can make it just a little bit farther, it can be worth it. But the point is, always look at your route, even when you're on your way to your next charger, just to see if it makes sense to go to a different charger than what it's suggesting. Where we go, we had missed our 250. Sorry, I missed it. But we're charging quickly, and as it sits right now, it has no idea what the state of charge would be when I arrive. So we'll give that some time to charge up. Give it about 20 minutes, and then we'll try to hit the road on time to make it to the hotel at a reasonable time. All right, so we're wrapping up charging now. Got 1 minute left, 71%. Says we would arrive at 18%. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug and finish this off. 113 miles to go, an hour and 38 minutes. Should be there about 12:35. 71% unplugging now. Well, I've successfully made it to the hotel. Super exhausted. It is 12:30 in the morning, so made it on time. Arrived at 13%, so let's take a look. 13% at arrival, 114 and a half miles, 42 kilowatt hours consumed, and a very high 368 watt hour per mile. It's just so windy out, and it's very difficult to get very efficient on this trip. We're down to 44 degrees. I think it was down to 41 on the highway, so definitely getting a lot colder. So in the morning we have another 11 hours of driving, about 600 miles to go, and it is still showing the preferred route. Now the good thing is, because of the situation that we're in, we would normally need to charge for 40 minutes, it says, at the local charger, and it is a V3 charger. However, I was able to get a hotel with destination chargers, so we'll actually be able to take 40 minutes off of this. So that's going to be more like 10 hours to get home, which is a huge win. So if you're able to get a hotel with a destination charger, it definitely pays off. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get checked in and get some much needed rest and pick this up in the morning. Well, I got some great rest last night, slept really well. Glad I was able to find a hotel with a charger, because it definitely saved us about 30 minutes on our trip home. So let's take a look at what we have left. So we have 590 miles left to go, 10 hours and 17 minutes. So we are going to be able to make it all the way to Kimball, Tennessee on our first stop here, and then we're going to make our way through Nashville and back over and up, which is perfect. So this first leg, it's 173 miles, which is quite the stretch. So 2.5 hours be there about 11 a.m. I am going to stop and get some breakfast on the way out, but thanks to having a destination charger, I'm at 91%. So this is going to work out really good. So about 2.5 hours to go. I'm going to unplug and hit the road. Alright, so arrived finally. So much traffic, but 11:26, 174.9 miles, 58 kilowatt hours consumed, 329 watt hour per mile. Arrived at 11%, so I'm supposed to be here for 25 minutes, which is fine. There's plenty of dining options around here and a Walmart over there. And yeah, there's actually a lot here. This is a V3, so that's good. So 25 minutes, then Nashville, and one more stop after that. So still looking at close to 7 o'clock, so we're not too far behind, and I'm not too upset about that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get plugged in. I've had a low tire all morning, so it's kind of hovering around 36, 37. So there's a Harbor Freight over there. I'm probably gonna go look for an air pump so I can get these tires back up and get some lunch. All right, so we overcharged just a little bit, but had to get the tires done and get a bite to eat. So I should arrive in Nashville at 38%, which is way too much. But that's okay. I'll see if there's an opportunity to switch chargers as I get closer to Nashville. But for now, let's hit the road. 100 miles, an hour and a half, be there about 1:30, and let's get going. So we arrived right on time, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule, but 35%. Supposed to be here for 35 minutes to make it to Louisville. And normally I would split this up, but I'm actually going to take the opportunity to stretch my legs a little bit, take a little bit of a break, and then one more stop in Louisville after this for about 30 minutes. Again, another V3 charger there. This one's V3. That's a Kroger right there. There's a little gas station, I guess, right there. Subway, a couple of food options, so decent spot. It is V3. The only thing to be aware of here is all the homeless people. There's a lot of them around here. I've never been bothered though, and I stop here very frequently, but something to be aware of. 101.3 miles, 34 kilowatt hours, 340 watt hour per mile. All right, so we're wrapped up charging at 91%, should arrive in Louisville at 12%, and then a 30-minute charge there to make it home. About 5 hours remaining, including that 30-minute stop in Louisville, 317 miles. This next leg is 172 miles, about 2.5 hours, should be there about 4:30. And again, looking at about a 7 o'clock arrival, so still looking good on time. So hopefully we can make this work well. So I'm plugging now at 92%. Just pulled in for our final charging stop of this trip. So let's take a look. Arrived 173.5 miles, 54 kilowatt hours consumed, and a really good 313 watt hour per mile. Makes a big difference when the temperature's a little bit better, but more so when you don't have to deal with all the wind. So I'm supposed to be here for 25 minutes, and that'll get me all the way home. So we are looking at another 146 miles, a little over 2 hours, and I'm actually a little bit ahead of schedule. which is really awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and get plugged in. I'm here at 18%. We're gonna let it charge for that 25 or so minutes that it said. All right, so we have enough charge to get home. We're at 82%. Looks like we would arrive at home 16%, 146 miles, a little over 2 hours to go. Should be home about 7:15, so pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug and we're gonna finish this trip up. All right, so I've made it home. It's 7:27 in the evening. So it wasn't too bad of a day. It actually went pretty smooth. At the very beginning, there was some traffic issues with a couple of accidents, which certainly added to the time it took to get home. But overall, the car did great. As usual, I will say this. On this trip, it was very evident how quickly things are changing in Tesla's network for supercharging. This was the first time I've gone and had that many V3 chargers. So usually I hit the V3 in Nashville. The one in Nashville is usually about the only one we have all the way to Florida. Sometimes there's one here and there, but this time literally every supercharger on the way down was a V3 charger until we hit Florida. So that's pretty awesome. It's not so much that it's so much faster because we only charge for 20 to 30 minutes, but it's because it's dedicated charging. There's a number of chargers on the way down that are usually full, and it just makes your charging so much slower. So there's no sharing that charging speed across different superchargers. That's why V3 is important. So that was pretty awesome. It was a seamless drive. I did have to air up the tires because now it's cold. So when I woke up in the morning, I had to get a pump at Harbor Freight. So now I've got that in the car to always have, just to top off the tires. But let's take a look at the final stats for the trip. So with this last leg, I arrived at 17%, 151.7 miles, 47 kilowatt hours consumed, 312 watt hour per mile. For the full trip, 2,590 miles, 859 kilowatt hours consumed, and an average of 332 watt hour per mile. Now with that average, that's basically what I've been seeing since I bought these tires for 80 mile an hour on the highway kind of driving. So I have not noticed a substantially different efficiency in this car since getting these tires. And I get that question all the time. So I've got about 20,000 miles on these tires now, and I'm getting about the same. I'm sure that there's some difference, and I'm sure it's slightly less efficient, but it's about the same that I'm noticing. So I am still very interested in getting a set of road trip tires and wheels for this car, and I'm working on that right now. I have a couple ideas in mind, but it's all about spending money. So I've got to take my time and do it right. So I really do want to get a road trip set though, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that very soon. So anyways, as always, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.